I never imagined my marriage would crumble because of a single email. Not a confession, not a rumor from a friend, just a simple automated message from a hotel. It was a Thursday evening in late September, the kind of mundane night where nothing remarkable happens. I was sprawled on the couch in our living room, half watching some forgettable crime drama while mindlessly scrolling through my phone. Lisa, my wife of 8 years, was away on what she called a critical work conference. She'd left 3 days earlier, kissing me goodbye at the door with her usual warmth, promising to call every night. My inbox pinged. I glanced at it without much interest, probably another promotional email or spam. But the subject line caught my attention. "Thank you for your stay at the Grand Meridian." That was Lisa's hotel. I opened it. The email was professional and courteous, thanking us for choosing their establishment. Attached was what they labeled as a folio receipt. I assumed it would show the basic room charge, maybe some breakfast charges, nothing unusual. After all, her company was paying for everything. I clicked the attachment. My world stopped. This wasn't a simple receipt. It was a detailed, itemized billing statement. And it wasn't just for one guest, it was for 2. My eyes scanned down the page, my heart rate increasing with each line. Couples massage at the spa, $420. Champagne service for 2, $180. Premium room upgrade to Suite 409, $275 per night. Late night room service. Multiple charges over 4 nights. Romantic turn-down service, $65 per night. And then, at the top of the page, I saw the names. Guest 1, Lisa Miller. Guest 2, Darren Rhodes. Darren Rhodes, her boss. The man she'd mentioned casually over the years. Darren thinks we should pivot the strategy. Darren approved my proposal. Darren's actually really smart about these things. I sat frozen, staring at my phone screen. The TV droned on in the background, but I couldn't hear it anymore. There was only the sound of my own breathing and the pounding of blood in my ears. This couldn't be real. There had to be an explanation. Maybe it was a billing error. Maybe they needed to share a room because of a conference mix-up. Maybe the spa treatment was some kind of team-building thing that got accidentally labeled wrong. Even as I tried to rationalize it, I knew I was lying to myself. Deep in my gut, in that place where truth lives before your mind can twist it into something more comfortable, I knew exactly what this meant. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through every interaction, every late-night work call, every weekend she'd gone into the office. I replayed 8 years of marriage in my head, looking for signs I'd missed. Had she always been this person? Or had I just been too trusting to notice? By the time the sun came up, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. I wasn't going to call her screaming or send angry texts. I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to find out the truth. All of it. And I was going to do it quietly. The next morning, operating on 0 sleep and running on pure adrenaline, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called the hotel. I practiced the conversation in my head first, making sure my voice would sound normal, casual, even friendly. When the front desk answered, I put on my best customer service voice. "Hi there. This is Mark Miller. My wife Lisa and I just stayed at your property, and I need a full copy of the bill for our tax records. Could you email that to me?" The woman on the other end was cheerful and accommodating. "Of course, Mr. Miller. Let me pull that up for you. Oh yes, you and Mr. Rhodes had a wonderful stay with us. I'll send that right over." My stomach lurched, but I kept my voice steady. "Actually, just to confirm for the accountant, we were in the same suite all 4 nights, correct?" "Yes, sir, Suite 409. You checked in together on the 15th and checked out on the 19th. Is there anything else I can help you with?" I thanked her, hung up, and immediately ran to the bathroom where I vomited. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. They had checked in together. They had shared a suite. For 4 nights. I splashed cold water on my face and looked at myself in the mirror. The man staring back at me looked older somehow, like I'd aged a year in a single night. I pulled myself together and opened our shared calendar app, the one we'd used for years to coordinate our schedules. There it was, Tech Conference Portland blocked out for the entire week. Below that, she'd added notes. Full schedule, back-to-back sessions. May not be able to talk much. Love you. I felt sick all over again. She hadn't just lied about what she was doing. She'd planned it, documented the lie, and made sure I wouldn't question her lack of communication. Every detail was calculated. For the rest of that day, I moved through my routine like a zombie. I went to work, sat in meetings, responded to emails. But my mind was somewhere else entirely, turning over every memory, every moment, every piece of our life together. That evening, I remembered something. Lisa's iCloud account was still linked to our old laptop, the one we kept in the spare bedroom. She'd set it up years ago and probably forgot it was even there. I opened the laptop with shaking hands and logged into the Photos app. What I found destroyed me. There were dozens of photos from the trip. Lisa in a plush hotel robe, holding a glass of red wine, smiling at the camera. The background showed 2 dinner plates on a room service cart. A man's jacket, definitely not mine, draped over a chair. I kept scrolling. There was a selfie of her lying on a hotel bed, laughing, her hair spread across expensive pillows. But the angle was wrong. She wasn't holding the phone. Someone else had taken that picture. Then I found the one that made my hands shake so badly I almost dropped the laptop. It was a mirror selfie, artistic and deliberately composed. 2 wine glasses in the foreground, soft candlelight, a reflection in the mirror behind her. And in that reflection, slightly blurred but unmistakable, a man. Tall, dark-haired. Darren. I went through every photo methodically, taking screenshots, saving everything to a secure folder. There were pictures of sunsets from a hotel balcony, room service breakfast spreads for 2, champagne bottles, rose petals on the bed. My wife had documented her own affair. I closed the laptop and sat in the darkness of the spare room for what felt like hours. I didn't cry. I didn't break anything. I just sat there, feeling something inside me fundamentally change. The man who had woken up yesterday morning, trusting, optimistic, in love, was gone. In his place was someone colder, someone calculating, someone who was going to make sure the truth came out. That evening, Lisa called me right on schedule. Video call like always. Her face appeared on the screen, hair wet from a shower, wearing a hotel robe. She looked relaxed, happy even. "Hey babe," she said with a warm smile. "God, I'm so exhausted. Today was brutal. I had rehearsed this moment. I kept my face neutral, my voice loving. Long day of presentations? Presentations, networking lunch, strategy sessions that ran way too long. I'm absolutely dead on my feet. Just ordered some room service and I'm about to crash." I hit the record button on my phone, angling it so it would capture our entire conversation. "What did you order?" I asked casually. She hesitated just for a fraction of a second. Caesar salad and some soup, I think. Honestly, I'm so tired I barely remember. In the background of her video, I could see the edge of a room service cart. 2 plates. 2 wine glasses. "Sounds good," I said. "Wish I was there with you." Her smile faltered slightly. "Me too, babe. Me too." Then I heard it. Faint but definitely there. A man's voice in the background. Just a few words, too muffled to make out clearly. Lisa's eyes darted to the side. "Hold on one sec," she said, covering her phone's microphone. I could see her mouth moving, saying something to someone off camera. When she came back, her smile was back in place. "Sorry. Room service guy just came back for the tray." I smiled. "No problem. Get some rest. I love you." "Love you too." The call ended. I sat there staring at the recording. Room service doesn't come back to chat. Room service doesn't call out casually from across the room. That was him. I saved the recording and labeled it Evidence 001, phone call with background voice. The next day, operating on a plan that was forming clearer by the hour, I texted Julia, one of Lisa's coworkers. We'd met several times at company events. She was friendly, genuine, the kind of person who seemed constitutionally incapable of lying. "Hey Julia," I typed, keeping it light. "How's the conference treating you guys?" Lisa says it's been intense. The response came about 15 minutes later. Conference? What conference? My heart started pounding. I typed back, the tech conference in Portland? Lisa's there all week. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, Mark, Lisa's not at any conference. She took PTO this week. Personal days. HR sent an email about it on Monday. I stared at my phone. She hadn't just lied about the affair. She'd lied about the entire trip. There was no conference, no work obligation. She had used her vacation days, our vacation days, ones she'd claimed we were saving for something special, to spend a week in a luxury hotel with her boss. I thanked Julia and ended the conversation before she could ask more questions. That evening, while Lisa was still away, I made a decision that I'm not entirely proud of, but which I knew was necessary. I ordered a small, voice-activated recording device online with overnight shipping. When it arrived the next morning, I slipped it under the driver's seat of Lisa's car. Lisa came home on Sunday evening, exactly as scheduled. She pulled into the driveway, hauled her suitcase out of the trunk, and walked through the front door with a tired but genuine-looking smile. "Home sweet home," she said, dropping her bag and wrapping her arms around me. "I missed you." She kissed me. Her lips were soft, familiar. 8 years of marriage in that kiss. I kissed her back and hated myself for still feeling something. That night, we ordered Chinese takeout and watched a movie on the couch. She cuddled against me, her head on my shoulder, occasionally laughing at the jokes on screen. To anyone looking in from outside, we were the picture of a happy couple. But I couldn't focus on the movie. All I could think about was the recording device in her car, waiting. The next day, while Lisa was at the grocery store, I retrieved the device and plugged it into my laptop with trembling hands. I put on headphones and started listening. The first few recordings were mundane. Radio, her singing along to songs, the sounds of traffic. Then, about 20 minutes in, I heard her phone ring through the car's Bluetooth. "Hey you," she answered. Her voice was different, softer, more intimate than I'd heard it in years. "I can't stop thinking about last week," a male voice said. "Darren." Lisa laughed. "Me neither. God, it was perfect. I don't want to go back to reality. When can we do it again? I don't know. I have to be careful. Mark's clueless, but I can't push it too far too fast." My chest tightened. I kept listening. "Does he suspect anything?" Darren asked. "Are you kidding? I could probably cheat on him in our own house and he wouldn't notice. He's so checked out. Just goes to work, comes home, watches TV. He doesn't ask questions." Each word felt like a knife. Then she said something that made me stop breathing. "Look, I know you're still figuring things out with Christine, but when you're ready to leave her, I'll be ready to leave Mark. We just have to time it right. Maybe another 6 months." The recording continued, but I'd heard enough. I ripped off the headphones. She wasn't just having an affair. She was planning her exit, planning our divorce, planning her future with him, all while pretending to love me, to be my wife, to be building a life together. I sat in the silence of our home office, surrounded by photos of us from happier times, and felt something inside me harden into steel. I uploaded the audio file to a secure cloud drive. I labeled it, Confession Vehicle Recording 001. This wasn't just about catching her anymore. This was about protecting myself. About making sure that when everything came crashing down, I wouldn't be the one buried in the rubble. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Patricia Chen, and she came highly recommended. I sat in her modern downtown office, surrounded by law books and framed degrees, and told her everything. The hotel receipt, the photos, the phone recordings, the fake conference, the conversation in the car. Patricia listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and studied me for a long moment. "Mr. Miller," she said finally, "I'm going to give you advice that might sound counterintuitive. Don't confront her. Not yet." I frowned. "Why not?" "Because confrontation gives her the opportunity to prepare, to hide assets, to create her own narrative. Right now, you have something powerful, information she doesn't know you have. We need to use that advantage to build an airtight case. She explained the process methodically. I needed to document everything: dates, times, expenses, communications. I needed proof not just of the affair, but of how she'd used marital assets to facilitate it. She's been using joint money to fund this relationship, Patricia said. Hotel rooms, dinners, gifts potentially. That's marital asset dissipation. In court, that matters. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective in my own life. I went through every bank statement from the past year. Credit card charges, debit transactions, PayPal transfers, Venmo payments. I built a spreadsheet, cross-referencing dates with her calendar, looking for patterns. And I found them. There was a $3,000 withdrawal from our savings account in June. Lisa had told me it was for car repairs. But when I checked our auto shop records, there was no corresponding invoice. I dug deeper. That money had been spent at a mountain resort spa, 3 hours from our home. Another affair location. I found charges for expensive dinners at romantic restaurants. On nights she'd claimed she was working late. Uber receipts showing trips to hotels across the city. A charge for lingerie from a boutique downtown. Lingerie I'd never seen her wear. Every piece of evidence was another betrayal, but I documented it all with cold precision. I made backup copies of everything. USB drives hidden in my office. Cloud folders under new accounts she couldn't access. Printed copies in a safe deposit box at a bank she didn't know about. I was building a fortress of truth, brick by brick. One evening, Lisa suggested we watch a movie together, just like old times. I agreed. We sat on the couch, her head on my shoulder, my arm around her. The TV played some romantic comedy she'd chosen. But I wasn't watching. I was thinking about the spreadsheet hidden on my laptop, about the recordings saved in the cloud, about the divorce papers Patricia was preparing. Lisa laughed at something on screen. She squeezed my hand. "I love you," she said softly. I squeezed back. "I love you too." And in that moment, I realized I'd become someone I never thought I'd be. Someone who could lie with a smile, who could plan in silence, who could wait for exactly the right moment to strike. She taught me well. 2 weeks later, I was cleaning up the living room when I accidentally knocked Lisa's purse off the coffee table. It hit the floor hard, and something solid inside it clattered against the hardwood. I picked up the purse to put it back, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. There, nestled between her wallet and makeup bag, was a phone I'd never seen before. It was cheap, black, no case. A burner phone. My hands shook as I pulled it out. I pressed the power button, half expecting it to be locked. It wasn't. The home screen appeared, no wallpaper, just the default background. I opened the Messages app. Dozens of texts from a contact labeled simply D. I started scrolling. Last night was incredible. I keep replaying it in my mind. I love how you look at me, like I'm the only person in the world. Can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore. And her responses killed me. I'm already counting down to next time, Redheart. I hate going home to him. I hate pretending. You make me feel alive again, like I'm finally myself. The messages went back months. They'd been doing this long before that hotel trip. That wasn't the beginning. It was just another chapter in a story that had been unfolding behind my back for half a year. I checked the photos. There she was in lingerie I'd never seen, in hotel rooms I'd never been to, selfies with her hair messy and her makeup smudged, looking satisfied and happy in a way I hadn't seen her look at me in years. Then I found a video. My thumb hovered over it. Part of me didn't want to know, but I pressed play anyway. It was dark, shot in a dim hotel room. I could hear their voices, intimate and breathless. I watched for maybe 5 seconds before I had to stop it. Some things once seen can't be unseen. I carefully copied everything from the phone to my laptop. Every text, every photo, every video. Then I wiped my fingerprints from the device and slipped it back into her purse exactly where I'd found it. Lisa came out of the bedroom minutes later, fresh from a shower, smiling. "Want to watch something?" she asked. I smiled back. "Sure." We settled onto the couch, and she leaned against me while I held the remote. Somewhere in her purse, her secret phone sat silent, not knowing I'd already stripped it bare. I'd become very good at pretending. I hired a private investigator named Marcus. He was ex-military, professional, and expensive. I didn't care about the cost. I need to know everywhere she goes, everyone she meets with, and I need photographic evidence. I told him. He nodded. We'll get you what you need. 2 days later, Lisa announced she was going out with her girlfriends for dinner and drinks. Girls' night, she said, kissing me on the cheek. Don't wait up. I texted Marcus. She's on the move. For the next 4 hours, I sat at home watching mindless TV, my phone in my hand, waiting for updates. They came in around 9 p.m. Marcus. She's at the Grand Meridian downtown. Same hotel chain as the Portland location. Marcus. Subject met with male individual in lobby. Confirmed identity as Darren Rhodes. Marcus. They've checked into a room. Suite 612. Along with the texts came photos. Lisa and Darren in the lobby, standing close, his hand on the small of her back. Lisa laughing at something he said. The two of them kissing near the elevator. Not a peck, but a real kiss, the kind that tells a story. She was wearing the necklace I'd given her for our anniversary. The one she'd cried over when she opened it. The one she said meant everything to her. She wore my love to meet her lover. I stared at those photos for a long time. The pain I'd been carrying started to transform into something else. Something cleaner, colder, focused. Marcus sent a final message. Got everything you need. Full report coming tomorrow. I replied, thank you. Then I set my phone down, turned off the TV, and sat in the silence of our empty house. The pain was fading. In its place was clarity. She'd made her choices. Now I would make mine, and she would never see it coming. Our 10th anniversary fell on a Saturday. I asked Lisa if she wanted to go out to celebrate. She actually hesitated before agreeing. Sure, she said. That would be nice. I made reservations at Giovanni's, the Italian restaurant where I'd proposed to her a decade earlier. It seemed fitting. That evening, she dressed up. Hair done, makeup perfect, wearing a dress I'd always loved. We drove to the restaurant making small talk about work, the weather, plans for the upcoming holidays. We were seated at a corner table with candles and wine. The waiter brought bread and took our orders. Lisa smiled across the table at me, but her eyes kept drifting to her phone. Halfway through dinner, I reached into my jacket and pulled out an envelope. Red, sealed with a wax stamp. It looked romantic, thoughtful. What's this? She asked, setting down her fork. Just something I wanted you to have. Open it. She opened the envelope carefully, sliding out the card inside. It was blank except for one sentence in my handwriting. You'll remember this dinner for the rest of your life. She looked up at me, confusion crossing her face. What does that mean? I smiled. Exactly what it says. She laughed nervously. You're being cryptic. Am I? We finished dinner. I was charming, attentive, everything a good husband should be. When the check came, I paid without looking at it. We drove home, and she fell asleep on the couch while I cleaned up. What she didn't know was that earlier that day, I'd sent everything to Patricia. Every photo, every recording, every bank statement, every piece of evidence I'd collected over the past month. She didn't know that my plan was already in motion. That anniversary dinner wasn't a celebration. It was her farewell party, and she'd smiled through the whole thing. The next morning, I composed an email from a new anonymous account. The recipient, Christine Rhodes, Darren's wife. The message was brief. I thought you should know the truth about your husband. I attached everything. The hotel receipts with both their names. The photos from the burner phone. Screenshots of their text conversations. The video I couldn't watch all the way through. The recording from Lisa's car where she talked about waiting for him to leave his wife. I hovered over the send button for maybe 30 seconds, my finger trembling. Then I clicked it. Within 2 hours, Christine replied, "Thank you." Just those 2 words. No questions. No accusations. No drama. Just, thank you. I didn't respond. There was nothing more to say. 2 days later, everything started falling apart. For them. Lisa came home from work pale and shaking. She barely made it through the door before she collapsed onto the couch. What happened? I asked, all concern. Darren got fired, she said, her voice hollow. They called me into HR too. They're saying there were inappropriate workplace relationships. They're restructuring the whole department. My project got canceled. Everything's falling apart. I sat next to her and put my arm around her shoulders. I'm so sorry, babe. That's terrible. She leaned against me, and I could feel her trembling. What she didn't know was that Christine had gone to their company's HR department armed with evidence of an extramarital affair between a supervisor and a subordinate. The legal liability alone had been enough to force swift action. I'd destroyed Darren's career without saying a word. And Lisa still had no idea I was the one who'd lit the match. For the next week, Lisa was a ghost in our house. She moped around, barely speaking, staring at her phone constantly, waiting for messages that never came. I played the supportive husband. I cooked her favorite meals. I did the dishes. I asked if she wanted to talk. I gave her space when she said no. Meanwhile, I had a therapy session. I'd started seeing a counselor 2 weeks earlier, not couples therapy, just for myself. I needed someone to talk to who wasn't involved, who could help me process what I was going through. I told Dr. Morrison everything. She listened in that quiet, thoughtful way therapists do. When I finished, she was silent for a moment before speaking. Mark, you've been in survival mode. You've done what you needed to do to protect yourself. But now you're at a crossroads. You can keep surviving or you can start living again. And living requires you to finish this. She was right. It was time. That evening, I asked Lisa to sit with me in the living room. Just the two of us. I looked into her eyes. Eyes I'd gazed into on our wedding day. Eyes I'd woken up next to for 8 years. And I asked the question that had been burning inside me. Did you ever really love me? She blinked rapidly. Her expression shifted through several emotions. Surprise, confusion, panic. Then tears started falling. I don't know, she whispered. Everything got so complicated. How long? I asked quietly. Her shoulders shook. And then, like a dam breaking, she started talking. It started last spring, just as friends at first. Then we went on that business trip to San Francisco and something happened. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, but then it kept happening. And then I couldn't stop. I said nothing, just listened. He made me feel special, she continued, the words tumbling out faster now. Like I mattered, like I was interesting and exciting. We'd stay up talking for hours. He understood me in ways I didn't think anyone could. And me? I asked. She looked at the floor. You were safe, comfortable. But comfortable isn't enough, Mark. I felt like I was dying inside, living the same day over and over. Darren made me feel alive. Did you love him? I thought I did. I thought he was going to leave Christine for me. We were planning a future. We were going to get a place together, start over. And what was I supposed to do? Just accept being thrown away? She finally looked at me, and I saw something in her face I'd never seen before. Genuine fear. I didn't know how to tell you, she whispered. I thought maybe you'd figure it out and make it easier. I thought maybe you'd end it so I wouldn't have to be the bad guy. Somewhere in my pocket, my phone was recording every word of this conversation. I didn't tell her that. I just let her keep talking, digging her own grave with each confession. When she finally stopped, exhausted and tear-stained, I stood up. Thank you for being honest, I said. She looked up at me hopefully. Does this mean we can work on things? We can go to counseling? We can. No, I said simply. It means I know everything I need to know. I walked to our bedroom and closed the door. Behind me, I could hear her crying. I didn't feel sorry for her. Not anymore. The next morning, Lisa woke up to silence. I was already up, dressed, and sitting at the kitchen table. In front of me was a manila envelope. She came downstairs in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. When she saw the envelope, She froze. "What's that?" she asked, though I think she already knew. I slid it across the table toward her. She opened it slowly. Inside were divorce papers. Behind them, printed evidence of everything I'd collected over the past months. Bank statements with highlighted charges. Hotel receipts with both their names. Screenshots from the burner phone. Transcripts of recordings. Photos of her and Darren together. The audio file details from her confession the night before. Her face went white as she flipped through page after page. You recorded me?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I did. You've been planning this? This whole time? From the moment I received the hotel email." She slammed the papers down on the table. "You set me up. You manipulated me into—" "I didn't manipulate you into anything," I said calmly. "I just documented what you chose to do. Every lie, every betrayal, every dollar you spent of our money on him. That's all you." She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. "Who are you?" "I'm the person you turned me into." She tried anger, tears, bargaining. She cycled through everything, looking for some emotional lever that would work on me. But I'd spent weeks preparing for this moment. There was nothing she could say that would change what was about to happen. "You don't have to do this," she said finally. "We can still fix this. We can go to therapy. Start over." I shook my head. "It's already done. The papers are filed. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live." I stood up and walked toward the door. "Mark, please." I stopped but didn't turn around. "You killed us, Lisa. You just didn't expect me to be the one to bury the body." Then I left for work, leaving her alone with the wreckage of the life she'd destroyed. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. Lisa tried to play the victim in court. She told the judge I was controlling, distant, emotionally abusive, that I'd trapped her in a loveless marriage. My lawyer didn't even break stride. Patricia stood up, opened her briefcase, and methodically presented the evidence. The timeline of the affair, the recordings of Lisa's own words, the financial records showing marital funds spent on hotels, dinners, gifts, the burner phone contents, the photo evidence. The judge listened to the recording from Lisa's car, the one where she laughed about how clueless I was. The courtroom was silent when it finished playing. The judge looked at Lisa with an expression I can only describe as disappointment. "Mrs. Miller," he said, "your conduct demonstrates not only infidelity but financial misconduct with marital assets." Lisa had requested alimony. The judge denied it. She'd asked for half the house. The judge awarded it entirely to me, given that I'd paid the down payment and the majority of the mortgage. She'd asked to split our savings. The judge froze the account and ordered most of it returned to me, minus what she could prove she'd contributed. She walked out of that courtroom with almost nothing. I walked out free. Lisa had 30 days to move out. She spent most of them sulking, barely speaking to me. On day 29, she was still there, acting like maybe if she just didn't leave, things would somehow revert to normal. On day 30, I packed her remaining belongings into boxes and stacked them by the front door. On day 31, I changed the locks. She showed up that evening and found she couldn't get in. She banged on the door, screaming about how cruel I was, how heartless, how I destroyed her life. I didn't answer. She tried to take furniture she claimed was hers. I had receipts for every item I'd purchased. When she persisted, I called the police. They looked at the divorce decree, looked at the receipts, and told her she needed to leave. She drove away in tears. I stood in the doorway of my house, not ours anymore, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. The story spread through our social circle quickly. A few friends reached out asking if it was true. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I made a single post in our group chat, no drama, no anger, just the facts. I attached a few key pieces of evidence. The responses came fast. "Oh my God. I had no idea. I'm so sorry, man." Even her best friend unfollowed her on social media. She messaged me privately, "If you ever need anything, I'm here for you." Lisa tried to spin her own narrative, telling people I'd been cold and distant, that I'd driven her away. But too many people had seen the evidence. Her lies couldn't compete with the truth. A few weeks later, I got a message from Christine Rhodes. "Hi Mark, I wanted to thank you again. I left Darren, got the house, full custody of the kids, started over, and I'm happier than I've been in years." We chatted briefly. She offered to testify if Lisa ever came after me again. "I have everything documented too," she said. "We're both free now." She was right. We'd both been trapped in the same nightmare, just different versions. Now we were both out. Life after Lisa was quiet in the best way. I painted the walls, rearranged furniture, threw out everything that reminded me of her. I went back to school, something I'd been putting off for years. I started traveling. Small trips at first, then longer ones. One evening, I sat in my backyard with a cold drink, watching the sunset, and realized I wasn't angry anymore. Not at her. Not even at Darren. Not at myself for not seeing it sooner. I'd survived the worst chapter of my life without destroying myself.